So good morning or good afternoon, depending where you're calling from. Welcome to today's session on Africa Women in GIS Technical Challenge with Digital Africa. This is the second of the series of our online training to the partners and all friends of Africa Women in GIS. And today I'm joined by the president of organization, Dr. Noha. Please, you are welcome to greet the participants.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Noha Abdelwaris, co-president of African Women in GIS. Thank you for joining us today in our second training session of Digital Earth Africa and African Women in GIS, and hope you will enjoy our session today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Noha. And background to the Digital Africa program. It's a program powered by partnerships, as we have this partnership. It's powered on Amazon Web Services, running on Open Data Cube technology, and being one of the biggest in the continent of Africa. And we've worked with a series of partners to make this a reality. So the program is empowering the countries to be able to cope, to address climate change, as well as the greater national development, including the national development agendas of each and every country. So Digital Africa is providing the satellite data through the program. We are providing data, as mentioned in the advertisement earlier on, that it's in analysis-ready format. This is a format which means that once you access it, you don't need to do further processing. The data sets are from the free open satellite data. From the US, we have the Landsat, courtesy of US Geological Service. We have the Landsat 5, 7, 8, and 9. From the European Space Agency, we have the Sentinel-1, which is radar, and Sentinel-2, which is optical. And there are plans to add Sentinel-3 and 5B before the end of the year to support the greater monitoring of the Earth around us. So Digital Africa has been able to support various sectors. Also, we have a free online platform, and some of the products we've developed, including the coastlines, monitoring crops, etc., etc. I believe with this session, you'll be able to have some insights on how you can run your programs, projects, and how to support the greater development agenda of the continent, the Africa we want. We are working with partners across the continent. From East Africa, we have the Regional Center for Mapping. In the north, we have Sahel and Sahel Observatory in Tunisia. We also have Agreement in Niger, Center du Suivi Ecologie in Senegal, AFRIGIS in Nigeria. We also have Agreement in Niger and other partners in the continent. Digital Africa program has been able to develop from the data sets continental services, which are very key. The first one being the water observation from space, which gives us water variability over time, over 35 years. We have the coastline, which shows you the coastlines over 23 years. We have the vegetation climatology, very good to get insights on climate change. We have the cropland, which gives you an indication of probability of cropping. And we have the geomat, which is a cloud-free mosaics available in Sentinel-2, as well as the Landsat data. So access to the platform is through, it's powered by Amazon Web Services. We have the sandbox and the Digital Africa map powered by Open Data Cube technology. So I'll be able to show you a short demo on each of these. And today we are trying to go through some of the notebooks just to see how we'll be well prepared for our projects and how we'll be empowered at the end of the day. We have access through the Digital Africa map, we have the sandbox, and also we have a platform being able to, you can access it either in your QGIS or Esri software or other programs. Also, we have the free online training programs. So on the Digital Africa map, you're able to go on the digitalearth.org, and in the platform, you'll be able to see the various options of accessing the platform. We have the Digital Africa map, we have the sandbox, you have the repository of the sandbox, and also we have the access to Esri Geo Portal as well. When we go to the, this is an example of the sandbox itself, where you can run some of the notebooks, as you can see. And then we have access through thematic areas, looking at the various notebooks, giving us a step-by-step how to access from the coastal to marines, machine learning, as well as access to other imageries, as well as soil moisture, the water extent, which is one of our areas, urban extent, etc., etc. So in the datasets folder, you'll be able to see some of these datasets. I know some of you would like maybe to export them or look at them through the platform. And also we have the training and help, where we can also show you how to access also the user guide, which will give you a step-by-step processes on how to access the platform, including the beginner's guide and the datasets itself. Most important, most likely going to the real world examples where you'd like to see how you could use it for your different projects and different areas. So this platform, as you can see, web GIS services, you access for QGIS, either it's your ArcGIS Pro or other services. And also our datasets are also available in the Africa Geo Portal. You'll be able to get also the recording of this session as well, so that you can be able to see how best to fit in into your areas of interest. And I know there's quite a lot in terms of applications, looking at also the different sectors, different areas, and how you could actually use it for your work. So the sandbox is quite a good one. Most of you had registered. You're able now to access the sandbox. And in case you have an issue, we are here to support you on how to better access the sandbox. Also in the sandbox, we have different examples, and today we'll be able to run you through some of these notebooks so that you can see how well you can adapt your project or use case for this particular area, from what extent, crop, agriculture, etc., etc. So looking also the other example where we're able to show you the sandbox again, just to make sure that you remember where it was. And the sandbox.org digital earth, we'll be able to share with you the link, and also looking at how you can get started, free registration, access through to options 16 or 32 GB, and also making sure that you are able to access the platform respectively, looking at different folders, data sets, looking at the real world examples. So these are the ones we'll be able to show you. Also, we have the GitHub repository where you can look at the Python files and even develop your own as well in the sandbox. So we create the environment where we want you guys to collaborate and innovate, because you have many ideas. So we've been working closely with the partners to create more stories or even document some of your work. And now more specifically for agriculture and food security, which is a key, like different topics we have. I'll be able to show you some examples on how you can measure crop health. Very key to look at crop conditions and also the vegetation of those crops. So this is an example of a crop probability map. And these ones we can generate on your uh, maps to Digital Earth Africa. This one now I'll be able to click the link, and with that, I'll be able now to show you on the Digital Africa map, which we're able to present. So here you're able to use different browsers. This is just an example of the Digital Africa map. And from here, you can see it could load some few minutes. So this is an example of the border of Namibia and Angola. We can look at it at any particular country, and also you could put your questions in the chat as well, so that we can have an interactive session. So you can also choose to just interrogate any map of your choice. So we could just start so that we show how we can follow such a process. And of course, based on our participation, we could also choose another random area. So I can choose around Lusaka, where we have very interesting around the city. We have crop cycles, as you can see. And your other question will be, how do you differentiate between the crop cycles? So with the continental data sets, we can look at our cropland extent, and we can see the cropland is captured. But now, more specifically, you'll be interested in the probability of cropping, and you can see the colors as per the legend. Closer to yellow, these are indeed crop areas. And also, we could also add another layer where we talked about our cloud-free mosaics, the geomads. We could add a sentinel imagery, and we could bring it for this area, and you can see how it looks. And here you can also put the NDVI so that you can actually see how these two compare. So from your skills, you can see, can even have some transparency, so that you can start seeing what is happening in the background with the with the with the NDVI. Also, we could choose to add the real world, the RGB, looking at the way it looks. Then you can do a comparison of two different years. So as you can remember, you have to make sure which layer you're looking at, one on the left, one on the right. So on this one, you can choose from 2017 so that you can actually see what has been happening visually. Some change on the left, 2017, on the other one, 2012. Then also you can choose to put the indices respectively. So this will be an area where you want to see if there was some activities in terms of agriculture food security. You can see quite some changes. Then I can share the link in the chat. This was just an example in the agriculture and food security space. Then now going back to our presentation where we were looking at crop probability. Then the next one, now we are looking at the crop health using one of the notebooks in the sandbox. And here I'll be able to show you now the actual example. So in your sandbox, just as we do several reminders on where to access, it gives us an idea of how to really navigate around this platform. So this is an example of a crop health notebook. Here I just changed the coordinates. This is an example of somewhere called Daru in Sierra Leone, West Africa. So in this particular case, I was working with someone from the youth mappers who was looking at some rice farming around this area, and you could see different dates. You could plot two different areas and actually see the varieties of rice that were being grown. So he mentioned one of them occurs at a different season. So you could see with the vegetation index, the peaks will show you around harvest time, and the down peaks will show either they were harvested or there was some crop, pests happening. So it gives you an opportunity to compare different plots, what is happening, what areas to invest, and how much you can use some of this technology to advise farming activities respectively. So we try to make it a little bit interactive, also looking at the courses that we have in English and French. We also have a course of agriculture and food security. And this particular one, you'll see very detailed topics, looking at rain moisture, vegetation, soil moisture, crop health, etc., etc. So here you'll be really empowered, and looking at also, we could use the Sentinel-2 optical, or we could also look at the Sentinel-1 at radar, and you can see the comparison respectively of the vegetation index, quite almost the start of the peak, where we have the point of, peak of the season where it's harvest time, and the end of the season where the farmer decides now to grow a different crop a different year. Also, that one was phenology. We could show you now the example of a phenology example, still in your platform, going to the sandbox as well with your registration, which you'll maintain. And now looking at the phenomenology optical, same area of Daru in Sierra Leone, having the area captured, you'll be able to see the vegetation plot per year at the end of the season, respectively, and even looking at gaps, maybe where there was no data or where some crops were harvested. So it's quite useful tool, looking at the optical as well as the radar, the Sentinel-2, and coming up also with some conclusions where you'll be the one who knows the area best for your area of study. Also, we have the vegetation anomalies, which are very key to show you areas which are being impacted by climate change. We are looking at a product at 30 meters. Initially, it was done with Landsat. Now we added Sentinel-2 for better comparison. And for this one, is an example of the country of Sierra Leone. You could see the phenology at different times, either in January, and looking at the different either standard deviation or standard normalization, and etc., etc. So for this one, we can generate for a whole country in your sandbox example, taking you step by step on what possibilities are there. There's a monthly vegetation conditions that you can access, and it's in your real world example, and you choose the country, the dates, and you can generate some interesting products at country level, just to give you a comparison, different months, different times, which can be very useful to understand what is happening around the country, whether there are some areas which are gaining vegetation or some which are losing. Very key to understand the different processes. Also from that, we also have the burnt area mapping tool, which is very useful, especially in some areas where we had incidents of fire. We had also very many examples from South Africa, especially around Table Mountains, and another one in the Cape, Western Cape, where I'll show you an example. So in this particular one, we have a notebook in the Digital Africa sandbox, and here going to the sandbox again, so that at least you'll be able to, they have a notebook called near real-time burn area mapping. And this one, it was based on information on a forest fire incident. Those are the coordinates of the area, and also the exact time that this incident occurred, and the times, very key, where we load in the Landsat data. And later we can also add Sentinel-2 just to provide some more confirmation. And with this one now, we're able to get a very good plot of the area, the Cape, and showing you the baseline image and the one after from the burnt area index, comparing with some modest data. We're able to generate very interesting products to support the situation which was unraveled using the platform. So we have many examples. Also looking at some digital Africa maps, we can show two images, 2 different years, and actually show how the situation is and how it happened. From that, we also have tools in the water resources and flood risk. Here we are looking at the water extent. We have an example of some lakes in Kenya, one of them Lake Olubulust, which has had the summaries from 1984 to 2002. And you could see, based on that image, you could see some areas which were already water, but now have shrunk or declined over time. We also have on this other side the case of Lake Baringo, indicating some flooding around September 2019, and repetitively every September they are off, based on what was captured with the imagery. Also on the sandbox, we're able to show you an example of Lake Bessie in Sierra Leone. We're trying to add more examples so that we can diversify our audience. However, you can also put in your area of interest in the chat so that we can also get an example as well. So this is an example of the water observation, water extent in your real world example for Lake Mabesi, Sierra Leone. This is creating the water extent map per year and looking at the graph representation. And then we're able to plot the extent it's between certain years. Then looking at the same in the Digital Africa maps, and also looking at the courses and resources. We have a course on water resources, which has 3 topics, which are very key for you to be empowered on what's possible. Also, we had a request on how you could look at extent of floods. This is an example of Kenya last year, around March, April. And here, comparing Sentinel-1 image before the event and after, you could see areas which were highlighted in red were impacted by floods. And also, we had another example of Beira in Mozambique, which was shared with some of participants we met at the Big Data School in Cape Town last week. And in this case, we are looking at a flood extent map. And from our data sets, we could go to the Radabak scatter and roll in Sentinel-1 imagery. So they mentioned this event could be happening every around March. And in this particular case, showing what is happening currently, an image of 18th, just last week, or actually this week. And then comparing with an image of before, they're experiencing quite some rains, as has been recorded by Mozambique Met. So this is the situation. And when now you put on the left a different date, you'll be able to see the imagery before and after, indicating the colors respectively. So those ones close to red, areas which the banks of the river has actually expanded and there are flooded areas. And as was picked by our friend Osborne, this area really affected by floods. And as part of the work they were doing, they were able to show us the incident when it occurred. And the worst incident around Beira was captured in the 14th of March of 2019. We'll be able to show you the example. So this is just the situation now this year. You see the image of February, quite fewer rains, but now in March, quite a lot of rains capturing the eastern side of the country. So looking at the map, changing the dates to 2019, we could also see very good results. So now this was the worst event. Loss of life was reported, and just showing you the effects and areas which were impacted. Very good to know when and when. So you can see the imagery from the background, a lot of areas affected from the flooding events of based on that particular cyclone, which I think was cyclone Idai. So you can just look at the ravaging impacts of that, different dates, different times. And with this, at least you can share the link and someone else can look on the other side. And I believe some of the teams that worked on some of these examples also compared with what was happening in West Africa. They had chosen somewhere in Lokoja in Nigeria and somewhere else in the upper West region in Ghana. So we have quite people, participants and champions working. The example of mangroves, which is very key for some of our work and looking at how we empower coastal communities. We're able to show you an example of mangrove analysis and coastal erosion. This is an example of Mida Creek in Kenya, some areas which have been really impacted by loss of mangroves and gain of mangroves, respectively. And Digital South Africa has developed a notebook which really empower you to see the situation. In the platform, going to the sandbox again, you'll be able to see even in the map view, the area itself. We have data sets on the mangrove as well from the Global Mangrove Watch. You can see when you load it, gives you an areas of indication where the mangroves have been. Then this you can compare year by year and see if we've been gaining or losing some of these mangroves, as you can see. Then also the Digital Africa platform, we can go to the sandbox and actually see the situation. So from today, we'll actually be more empowered to look at how we empower coastal communities, especially I know some work being done by some of the community organizations, such as conservation, farm conservation, biodiversity organization, who are working closely with a group in Kenya called Youth Power. So there's a lot of opportunities as well for networking with other like-minded young people doing some amazing work on the continent. So this is an example of the mangrove analysis, looking at Vida Creek, step by step, looking at the coordinates, the area, loading the data sets, and then allowing the program to run for a few minutes and giving you the indication of the tides, getting the mangroves as captured, then doing the classification of those mangroves respectively. It's quite a game changer tool for us to be empowered to make sure we taking these tools for work and research and projects where we can actually showcase some of the amazing work being done by different teams, different countries. So the change of mangroves is very key for coastal communities, as these will advise the various community organizations on where to plant or where to include more mangroves and engaging more with the communities. So we also have a course on coastlines in English and French, respectively, to make sure that we are empowered and leaving no one behind. We also have the coastal erosion tool in your sandbox. It's an example of Sock Up Moon in Namibia. This is just showing you if you run the tool, it can really go far. Even now, this data set now includes an imagery of 2023, which is very key. And looking at the coast of Namibia has really been impacted by coastal erosion based on the strong waves received in the western part of that. Looking at the southern east part of Africa, Medozo in Mozambique has also been impacted by strong waves, coastal erosion has really been real. And even from the previous example, you remember we showed the area of Beira, areas which have been really affected. Also, Digital Africa has developed this coastline tool, and we'll be able to share the link that you can see. You can click within the 38 countries covered, and you can see the coast, how it has gained and retracted, and also the impact on the lives of livelihoods. In the urbanization space, we have a tool to help you do urban change detection, as well as areas where we have coastal cities. We can use an urban index comparison. Looking at urbanization, this one uses the Sentinel-2 data. GeoMod is cloud-free mosaics from Digital South Africa, a very good innovation. And looking at two different times, we could actually capture the growth of the cities between two dates. It uses an enhanced difference index, which is an enhancement to the built-up index. Also looking at our costs, an example of Dakar, Senegal, we could have this comparison, and you can see using the enhanced index, we have different comparison capturing the urbanization respectively. So this gives us an idea of also connecting with other external data sources, of which we have the global human settlements urban areas datasets, courtesy of the custodians of these indicators. Looking at urban green space, Digital South Africa has collaborated closely with the Sahel and West Africa Club through their datasets called Africa Police. And this is really impactful. Just showing you a case of Kumasi in Ghana, looking at the city, two different dates, and you can actually be able to capture if these green, more trees are added or less trees, etc., etc. Looking at cross-cutting areas, we are looking at land degradation. We're also looking at tool to look at mining, and also even a tool to look at ship detection because of Sentinel-1 data. And Digital South Africa has also collaborated with the Observation Sahel in Tunisia to enhance the agenda on land degradation, which is very key. And even looking at connecting with partners like the Group of Earth Observation and Land Degradation Neutrality, and even one of our colleagues doing his PhD on the same topic, making sure that we have the capacity. And we also have developed a model which looks at the different topics on how we can better address land degradation. And we also have our free training courses in English and French. And also just as an overview of these modules, we can just look at the platform, the courses in training and help. And here you have the link to access the introduction to Sandbox. And from there, you'll be able to go to the training resources themselves, which are self-paced. So don't worry about the start date or end date. They have no end date. You can start at your own pace and finish at your own pace. But the best part is that you receive certificate of participation at the end of these particular modules. So looking at the introduction to Sandbox, which we'll recommend most of us to explore and look at the various topics and how you can even monitor your progress. And also you can discover more courses in the platform, looking at each of these, very key for us to be empowered respectively. So also as we summarize today's session is to share some of the examples. We've worked with different partners. For example, this one was funded by the National Research Foundation in South Africa, where it brought students from most of the countries in covering the projects in South Africa, radio, astronomy, where we had Botswana, Ghana, Kenya, Namibia, Madagascar, Mozambique, Zambia, of course, South Africa. Some of the projects, they were actually using Digital South Africa platform, looking at crop mapping, weather prediction, for mapping of the flood extent, where I shared the example of Beira and Mozambique. And also some of them were looking at mangroves, Kenya and South Africa, and the peatlands. And some of them were looking at mapping of the urban development, where they were using an example of Cape Town. So the answers lies with most of us. We are the future. Thanking also the champions and also the partners who've made Digital South Africa program a success, especially the Australian government and Helps the Trust, and other partners such as Africa Women in GIS, who are helping us to connect with more people in the continent to make sure we are connected, leaving no one behind, and also giving you an opportunity to scan the QR code as we value your feedback, as well as we'll be able to share with you the presentation, and maybe just taking you through the other part of the platform to see that we were able to capture most of the information. So back to the platform, we have the YouTube channel where we'll be able to share some of these resources like today. And here you'll see the various videos, including the live sessions, which we do with my colleague Joseph and other colleagues at Digital Africa, as well as other partners who are invited. And I hope soon to invite you to share some of your work in these amazing sessions and videos. So these live sessions, we've run them since August 2020. That means we quite have some experience and knowledge in connecting with partners across the continent, and just looking at other links that you might see in our site. We have the link to the training material, which will just show you again, another just refresher of the dashboard, where you can discover more courses. And the best thing about this is that in the introduction to Sandbox, you can view the course, and also you're able to change the language options. Currently now, we are trying to aim for Portuguese, and also with my colleague, we are also trying to bridge the gap in North Africa. So we are introducing slowly by slowly, learning by learning. It's a process as well, and also giving the option for the language will be very key. But the modules currently are in English and French. We are planning to add Portuguese and Arabic respectively, so that we can bridge the digital divide. Also, we have a module with the International Water Management Authority. This one covers the use of monitoring soil moisture, as well as statistics on rainfall over rain basins, where we've co-developed with the team at International Water Management Authority, water in Ethiopia, who are working in different countries. So all these resources are ours. Also, we could put the links as well in the chat. So, but also the recording and these ones will be shared with you, so that we keep you connected, and also making sure that yes, so also all the links in the chat we'll be able to see. So for example, we could do also another last example, especially acknowledging our president who's based in Cairo. So this is around New Cairo area. We could look at how we could add some images here. For example, how was the situation in 2017? Just trying to get a feel of how the imagery look for us, changing different dates, just having a comparison of the same. So you can look at the city and how it has been developing. Also, when we look at the city developing, we could also add another layer of water. These will be the water observation from space. We go to the surface water. We can put an all water summary, and you can change the legend as well, respectively. And then you can see something is happening, different layers, different areas, even where we have some irrigation around this area. We could add a layer of agriculture, food security, respectively, just showing you how dynamic the work can be. There is a probability of cropping. You can see those areas captured well. And also you can choose to change the transparency. Finally, we could also add the coastline, so that we can actually appreciate the value of the coastline itself, the data you can see from that area. We could also choose to remove other background of layers as well, because it's just for comparison purposes, and we can see quite some changes as well. And also, if you want, you could do some measurements, that's showing you how dynamic the portal can be. And also looking at some of the areas, you can do just measurement, and you can see the coastline actually moving quite some meters, very key. We could also move around the continent as we finalize today's course, and also give you an opportunity to continually explore the platform, especially for amazing projects where you'll be able to showcase this as part of this mentorship. And also, as we summarize this training, is to thank you so much for your participation. And I know once you get the recording, you'll share with your friends, and please connect with us even in the different sessions that we have. Thank you so much for joining us.